Have you ever woken up and thought to yourself, "Today I want to clean," and then you'll whistle to summon all the animals of the forest to help you? Viscera Cleanup Detail is a game all about cleaning, plain and simple. Viscera Cleanup Detail was developed by RuneStorm and released in 2015. Viscera Cleanup Detail is an unusual game focused on cleaning and organizing. Gameplay is gathering giblets, body parts, and trash to burn in the furnace, mopping up blood splatters, scanning in leftover personal USB thumb drives, and organizing crates and barrels. It's kind of like we're cleaning up after what you might have done in another game, like Half-Life or Doom. After playing Viscera Cleanup Detail, I noticed blood and gore more because I spent so much dang time cleaning it up. A game entirely about cleaning might seem odd to some. After all, cleaning up in real life is a chore. I can tell you right now, there are several things in my apartment I should be cleaning instead of making this review. However, there's something oddly satisfying to a job well done. It's cathartic, and that's the experience I've had playing it. The story for Viscera Cleanup Detail is kinda peripheral. Sure, it's as the Steam store description says. You're stepping into the boots of a space station janitor tasked with cleaning up after various horrific sci-fi horror events. Every level you'll find and pick up logs and notes about what terrible things occurred during that level. And when you get back to the office, there's scattered documents and newspaper clippings around that you can delve into to get more story elements. If you're looking for more story elements, you can read all the notes, look through all the files after the level's complete, and just generally dig into all the extra stuff to your heart's content. However, personally, I tossed everything into the incinerator because I'm trying to get that promotion, baby! And A, I don't have time to read this stuff, and B, I didn't want to hang on to the notes in case they counted as garbage. Unless it was achievement related, I've got a head collection, you know what? Never mind. Moving on to gameplay. This is where the fun starts. Well, fun if you enjoy the gameplay loop. First, a useful note about the game. The levels you select have an average completion rate ranging between 45 minutes to 3 hours. Take note of that when you start a level so you can get an idea of how long you're committing to the level. Typically, the 3-hour maps are very large and have more stuff to work on than normal. But you can save mid-level. Thankfully, you don't need to bust out the whole level in one session, which is good because I've spent over 6 hours on some levels. You'll need to figure out your workflow for yourself, but typically I like to first locate the furnace or incinerator on the level, toss all the bodies in there first, then dispense boxes to pick up the smaller giblets and trash. Then lastly, I mop up the gross stuff on the floors, walls, and ceilings. I do that room to room or section to section, and soon enough, the facility is squeaky clean. There's a few final objectives to do before you clock out for the day. Swipe the personal USB thumb drive data things, fill in the sarlacc pits, fill in the bullet holes with the welding gun, stack crates and barrels in their designated color-taped areas, then fill out the exit survey and clock out to receive your rating. Under 75%, and you're fired. Between 75 and 99% is satisfactory, and 100% and better you get promoted and death threats from your coworkers. So, reeling it back in a bit, the controls for the game are standard movement with WASD. You're sprinting by default, so you hold down shift to walk. If that bugs you, you can rebind it. Your number keys are how you switch between mop, hands-free, sniffer tool, and occasionally you'll find a broom which you can sweep with, but I'd never really used the darn thing, it only just spreads blood around. So let's go over the tools available to you in a little bit more depth. First, we have the mop. You know, don't mop yourself in a corner, kid. That's what I learned at my first job growing up. Well, that doesn't apply here. You use the mop on blood and alien goop. Don't forget to get yourself a mop bucket, because a few slaps of your mop and it'll become filthy and need to be renewed in a bucket of water. And eventually that bucket will also become filthy. And when that happens, you'll chuck it in the incinerator. And when I say chuck it, I mean carefully, gently place it in the incinerator so you don't spill that crap on the ground and need to mop it up again. Again, there's no point to mopping until you've cleaned up the bodies and giblets first, because if you bump them, you'll spread more blood all over the place, and that's just gross and unproductive. Next tool is hands. Technically hands-free isn't a tool, but you need your hands to pick up bullet shells, to put them into a bucket, to incinerate, and that's just great. To pick stuff up and move it around, you'll need to have your hands free. Then to reset an object's position, in your hands, left click while holding it. That comes in handy for resetting barrels and buckets to the upright position. And then of course we have the sniffer tool. After you've cleaned up everything that you can see, inevitably you're gonna miss stuff. Some of these maps are very large, but even if they weren't, how are you gonna find that one blood footprint you missed hours ago? That's where the sniffer tool comes in. There are two modes, dirt blood cleanup mode and bullet hole sniffer mode. Oh crap, we haven't even talked about that yet. There are bullet holes in the walls, and you need to use this pain-in-the-butt handheld welding machine to fix those holes. The shovel is used to fill in the sarlacc pits, and the last tool we're going to be talking about is the POS broom. Just like the welding gun and the shovel, you kind of just find these laying around in the level. You don't have them automatically. You use this crappy broom to, sweep stuff. Maybe smaller giblets and bullet shells or something, but I just walk over with a disposal bucket and pick up the shells one by one. It's what you're gonna need to do anyway, so why push the stuff out of the way and deal with it later? It seems that being a space janitor doesn't have any upsides for state-of-the-art equipment, because it seems like everything doesn't work 100% of the time in the game. Mop bucket dispensers sometimes spit out giblets for no reason. The equipment vending machine sometimes prints out love letters instead of the product you requested. If you're trying to fix a bullet hole and you use the beam too long, it will cause a fire, and guess who's gonna clean that up? If you're not paying attention, your mop will get dirty and you'll create more mess, or you'll put your clean mop into a dirty bucket, thereby making the mop dirty, or might knock over your bucket when you're walking by. I'm sure I'm missing other details. The takeaway here is you're really fighting against the game. Being organized and methodical helps, but sometimes the box maker just wants to spit out arms and legs, and there's nothing you can do about it. I've got a unique addition to this review because I have experienced 4 different opinions about Viscera Cleanup Detail. First, the gameplay was a learning curve for my wife. She struggled with picking stuff up and moving things around without knocking them over and creating a worse mess. After roughly 4 to 6 hours, she started to get a knack for the game and now finds it more relaxing to play. Which is quite the difference of opinion compared to my brother, who vehemently disliked the experience and said he didn't find the game satisfying at all. It was kind of funny in a way because he's a funny guy. Right from the game's start, he was like, not to complain, but I'm still waiting for when this game becomes fun. The gameplay didn't engage with him at all, and maybe that was because it was a level with difficult lighting and textures, but he wanted to clean the area and make it look clean, shiny, immaculate, rather than just mop up dirt that you can see and leave behind the other textured dirt, which doesn't count, stuff like rust on the walls, mold, etc. It's like if he was cleaning a castle, he would expect the castle to look shiny and with a white stone finish. Whereas in the game, the textures are the textures, and the hypothetical castle would still look old and decrepit, just without blood and gore from the alien arm wrestling match. And yet another friend of mine preferred Viscera Cleanup Detail over Power Wash Simulator. Naturally, the friend who suggested we give the game a try liked Viscera Cleanup Detail. If I remember correctly, he just preferred the gameplay loop, found the game more satisfying, and the multiplayer was handled better on Viscera Cleanup Detail. We've covered a few different opinions already, so as you can see, there's a spectrum of different people who have very different preferences when it comes to Viscera Cleanup Detail. Personally, I fell on the positive side, but that was because I picked up the gameplay loop quickly with no other real issues, other than the usual problems of occasionally knocking over buckets and leaving footprints all over a nicely mopped floor. I just embraced it as part of the gameplay loop. Sit down and relax while I go zen playing it. And here we are at the conclusion of the review. I don't think Viscera Cleanup Detail is for everybody. I'm not really sure how to suggest which kind of person would enjoy this game. If you like the idea of cleaning something in a video game, or you're looking for an unusual chaotic group exercise, this game might be up your alley. I guess for me personally, I like to load up Viscera Cleanup Detail and just go zen. Put on a podcast or some relaxing music and go to work. I find it relaxing, and I didn't have too much trouble with the mechanics like my brother and wife did. As a quick recap, you can take or leave the story. If you want to read all the things and investigate backstory lore stuff, cool. If not, feel free to ignore it and toss them in the incinerator. The gameplay might be challenging for some. Knocking over mop buckets and leaving footprints can become stressful and overwhelming, but for me, I just worked on cleaning up one bit at a time. There's no real right or wrong way to approach it. Hopefully this review has been helpful to you. While doing a bit of research for this review, I discovered there's actually a handful of other cleaning games. I didn't realize this was its own niche genre. I haven't played Pressure Wash Simulator yet, but if you've got any other suggested games to check out, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Yes, I said wash. Just be happy I didn't hit you with my pun game earlier in this video. I'm Atratzu, and I will see you in the next review.
You